Whew. Brace yourself, friends, or keep breathing, really.
Right.
One of the hardest things to consider is what it might really be like to lose a child to cancer, and how one could possibly continue living after that unimaginable grief.
Right.
In this episode, Lauren Reagan shares the story of her son Declan's pediatric cancer journey and the journey they took together through that, the emotional reality of grief, and how blood transfusions and platelet donations became a critical lifeline during treatment. After experiencing profound loss, Lauren transformed her grief into advocacy work with BloodWorks Northwest, helping families facing medical crises and raising awareness about the urgent need for blood donation.
Yeah, what a profound conversation it was. And we were introduced to Lauren from a friend of mine who works for BloodWorks, and he just said, you got to hear her story. And it really was amazing. So in addition to the grief and loss of walking through pediatric cancer, we also explore the way motherhood and I guess fatherhood would be true too, just parenting and healing, and the quiet ways that people can really make a life-saving difference for others. We want to recognize these can be difficult things to consider. So please take care of yourselves if you choose to join us as we discuss in this episode what it's like to lose a child to cancer, what pediatric cancer is and looks like, and the grief family and friends experience going through that. What blood transfusions and platelet donations are, why they matter so much, especially in this case. And then, of course, healing. How does one heal after such a devastating loss? And then Lauren shares with us how she turned her grief into purpose, and she did so by supporting families going through the same kind of thing, grieving families and friends, and then through her advocacy and her community care. So she really shows us the way forward. So whether you've experienced these world-shattering events yourself, or work in the end-of-life caregiving, or maybe medical services, or just really simply want to understand better the deep impact of pediatric cancer, this episode offers you a compassionate and a deeply human conversation about love and grief and purpose. So welcome. Stay tuned.
Welcome to this episode of End of Life Conversations. I am the Reverend Mother Ana Luisa Armendariz. Today we are speaking with Lauren Reagan. Lauren serves as the Community Engagement Liaison for BloodWorks Northwest, where she champions the growth and stability of the Pacific Northwest's blood supply. Lauren's professional dedication is deeply rooted in her personal journey. As a mother of twins, her life was profoundly reshaped by the loss of one of her children to cancer. This experience instilled in her a perspective of radical resilience and a firsthand understanding of the critical role blood products play in pediatric oncology and emergency care.
Wow, that's a big thing. So thank you for being willing to share and being willing to come talk to us today. Appreciate you very much. I am the Reverend Wakil David Matthews. Lauren has transformed her grief into advocacy, using her voice to ensure that no patient and no family is left without the resources they need during their most vulnerable moments. Her work is more than a career. It's a mission to build a more secure and compassionate community, one donation at a time. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes. And Lauren, I just want to take a moment, though, and I say to you, I am very sorry for your loss. And I'm
Yeah.
really grateful that you are willing to share your story with us.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
yeah.
having me. It is a tough conversation, but I absolutely love to share my story and how I've gotten to this position. So thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So we're going to start out by asking you, how did you get interested in BloodWorks Northwest? What launched you
end up
into this?
there? Yeah.
Into this realm.
Well, like you said, I lost my child, my oldest oldest by 8 minutes, my son Declan. In 2016, he was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. So overnight, as you can imagine, we're talking to doctors and they're like, we're going to give you 24 hours, go home, pack a bag. You're moving into the hospital for 30 days at minimum.
Wow.
So instantaneously, our world is shifted upside down. And having identical twins that had never been separated, we were entering what I call cancer land. It's a whole, different realm, and you learn quickly, and it's very fast paced. So with leukemia, you need a lot of blood transfusions. And Declan had a total in the 2 years during his battle, 76 blood transfusions and 108 platelet transfusions.
Wow.
And the hospitals where he was getting his treatment were the blood products were provided from BloodWorks Northwest. And we were very fortunate that during this entire journey, financial loss was not part of our story, where it is for some. And a lot of people, and we're well knitted community, and I'm originally from the East Coast. We're on the West Coast, large family presence, and I've lived all over the country, and everyone wanted to know what they could do to help. And my response was, can you please donate blood? My child is consuming a ton of blood product, and it is something that we do not need any financial support, but we could absolutely love supporting the community to support my son and other cancer patients as we were embarking on this journey. That is where I started actually volunteering for BloodWorks. And Declan and I sometimes would stop by the center or any of the mobile units and hosting blood drives. He called them blood parties. He thought each individual donor, like that was blood that he was getting in a couple of weeks. So
Love it.
to try to make something lighthearted, but also just a deep, deep impact. Once my son was deemed terminal, life kind of, you shift gears. How grieving, as you're going through the motions, you're making decisions, you're signing DNRs for a 6-year-old. Like when I became a mother, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be talking through end of life care. How do you approach hospice care? And the way they approach hospice care with children is separate than how with adults. So you can still actively be seeking treatments. We went to St. Jude's, and I remember being in St. Jude's, being in the room with the doctors, letting me know, unfortunately, there's no more of what we can do for your child. At this point, I had been told this like 4 times. So I was like, I want to say it gets a little bit easier. It's a really interesting dynamic when you're sitting in those rooms and you're having these conversations. But as part of my son's hospice plan, it was about time. I live in Southwest Washington. Our hospitals were in the Portland metro. Easily, it could take us an hour and a half stuck in traffic. So what can we do to use the hospital? That's only 15 minutes. Where the hospital actually had a NICU nurse who was trained on my son's port. So they rearranged her work schedule. So twice a week, we would go to the hospital, check into the maternity ward, and my son would receive 2 units of blood products twice a week. Originally, we were sent home with life expectancy about 2 weeks. Due to blood donors, I actually got 5 months. And when you're talking the span of the life of a 6-year-old, having those 5 extra months allowed me to grieve as we were going through this and process and plan, because it wasn't going to be an unexpected death. But I was able to kind of, as much of the bucket list that you could create for a 6-year-old, right? He wanted to go camping, we went camping. You wanted to go to the beach, we went to the beach. And we were able to just have that freedom to create more memories with him, which I cherish. And that is solely due to blood donors. I had a career in hospitality management and running and working with hotels and high-end clients post this experience. And when the pandemic hit, I took it as a wake-up call. Maybe I need to be doing something different with my life. And I started researching nonprofits that I had worked with during my son's illness, and BloodWorks had a position. And I was like, wait, I can do that. And I know them. So fastest hiring process I think I've ever been through, from phone interview to first day, was 2.5 weeks. And even being on the back end, they're like, we matched up your email addresses. And we're like, it is her. We've worked with her. And my first day, I walked into the Vancouver Donor Center to see Jake Cole, who is now supervisor. And the last time I had seen Jake was actually at my son's memorial service. I had formed such a relationship with the phlebotomist that several of them were at my son's memorial service. So it was a full circle moment. And it is amazing to be able to work with a company that this huge loss in my life, I get to talk to every day and talk about, right? Like when I'm talking, I always tell people when I'm doing presentations to find your why you're donating. You know, people have different ones. And I was like, my why is my son. I personally, it's going to take me a while to donate back all the products that he used. So I'm able to share his story, talking to young donors. I'm really passionate about high school age donors and turning them into lifelong donors. And so that's kind of like how I ended up here, how I learned about blood. And I could also take my personal experience of, I've watched a lot of blood products be hung over the 2 years I lived in hospitals. And I always share that I never, when the doctors were like, oh, his blood counts are low, we're going to need to do a transfusion today. The blood was always there. And today, would that be the same case? Would they allow a terminally ill child to receive blood products that could go to a possible patient that would have a better outcome or an emergent need that the ER has? I don't know, but we want to make sure that we keep that blood supply
That's not
nice
a problem.
and robust so we can make sure that everyone has it. And if there is another, family that's similar to mine that could just use some extra time to love and create memories.
What a great, what great lore your son and you have.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
What came up as I was listening is that I'd like to hear more about is your other child. Can you tell us about what that experience was like for them? And
how's he doing?
maybe ongoing,
My son Adrian, so he just turned 14 and he's doing really well. It has been an adjustment. No one understands the relationship of identical twins. I have never claimed to understand their bond from the moment they were born and how they eerily know. He spent some time on the East Coast while his brother was sick, and my mom called me and he's like, Adrian just keeps saying Declan's not okay and that he's not feeling good. And it was a rough day at the hospital. So like just that intuition. We have a great support system. My son also, along with myself, counseling, learning tools, how to cope, how being identical twins, they had a built-in playmate. And they didn't need to compromise. They didn't need, if they wanted to play with their dinosaurs, they played dinosaurs. So Adrian had to learn navigating the world, how to communicate with other folks that just don't, like that intuition that knows what game you want to play. And he's doing fantastic. He is thriving. He participates in tons of activities, making friends, socializing. But it took a step, once his brother passed away, he went a really introverted, kind of quiet, didn't really speak to people outside of his parents for probably about 3 months. Just, it's a new way of learning life. But he has these memories of his brother. We have lots and lots of videos, having that extra time. I recorded the arguments. I recorded, them playing, just the funny little, isms that children when they're playing together. So it's great that we can reflect on those memories and still have him with us.
Yeah, that's
he is with us. That's so
Yeah,
fabulous.
that's so beautiful. I love that.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you. This is really moving, very deeply moving.
it
Really
it is
appreciate your
moving
time.
and it's so joyful. I mean, I sense by
yeah.
your presence and the work that you're doing is that you have shaped that experience into a cornucopia of gifts for so many more people, right? Like I'm sure you get calls from other mothers who might be starting this journey such as you had done, 6, 7 years ago. And you're a gem, you're a gem and I could see that. So I'm so delighted to have you today.
Yeah, so nice to talk to you. Appreciate you a lot.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. And it is true. We do work. I think it was about 3 weeks ago. it was almost like a snowball effect where we had 4 brand new pediatric oncology patients that reached out to us. I have a great relationship still with all of the oncology nurses. I have been a keynote speaker for our hospital,
Wow.
Randall's Children in Portland. I absolutely love that facility and hospital, and they're actually one of our client groups. So I worked with them. But that also comes with a little bit of, sometimes anxiety and grief when I'm walking back into the hospital where I spent close to 200 days in, and being able to meet with them and provide that care. But I also have that realistic, um, I know what those parents are going through. So when they call and they're like, it's just not a good day, I'm like, I understand. We can, you know, push forward, not hold back, where my experience has shaped that. So I'm able to understand where they are at. And I think it really helps, and being able to just still s- still do the work that we do and collect the blood units that we need, but making sure we meet families where they're at those times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And what is it like to be in? I mean, I am going to make assumptions, and I want you to like shift those for me. But you know what I really also love about your story is that you are in a space still in community with the people who were there at the very end of your son's life, and it feels like that community just you bonded really um, intensely, and you're still together, and you must still support each other, right? As you have, because not every day is an easy day for caregivers in hospitals. So, what's it like to be with? I mean, it's like chosen family almost.
Yeah, it's been amazing to continue these relationships, especially with the nurses. Because for me, I remember
Mm-hmm.
some of the nurses, I actually was at the Randall's Gala, and Nurse Bree was my night nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, During Declan's treatment, he switched schedules with all the different medications. We were up all
Mm-hmm.
night long. It was a party. And Nurse Bree was just such a joy almost a decade later. She had twins herself. And I saw her and she's like, I have 2-year-old twins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you did. She was like, I have a whole new level of
Uh-huh.
profound respect and empathy. And just be like, she's like, I have these 2 babies. And she's like, you had 2 babies, but now you just have your one. And I was like, I still have my 2 babies. It's just a
Yeah.
little bit different realms. And,
They're both work
what we
still,
do, they
right?
they are still here. They are still
Yes.
making an impact. But for
Yes.
me, it's interesting to see my son Adrian, how he's developing, especially like going into teen and finding himself,
Mm-hmm.
where I've got Declan, who made such this profound influence, not on just myself,
Mm-hmm.
but all the people he met, the
Mm-hmm.
phlebotomists, the
Yeah.
different cancer patients. He used to refer to them coming to the hospital because if they only had to do 1 or 2 nights, he's like, my friends are coming for a sleepover. And I was like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
as much as we normalize, yes, we are all having sleepovers in the hospital, and it is fantastic.
Mm.
But my son's story is still, ex- it's 10 times more than what it
Mhm.
even started,
Mhm.
and his
Mhm.
impact, which I absolutely love and relish in.
Mhm.
Um, Even he is the background on my computer on his 6th birthday, which was his last birthday. We went to every single Northwest location, blood drive offices, and dropped off donuts to celebrate his birthday.
Oh,
And
wow.
we absolutely love it. And the
Mhm.
phlebotomy team at Bloodworks still celebrates him. I come into
Mhm.
work and we have Declan t-shirts that they've had
Mhm.
for almost a decade that I'll be like,
Mm.
that's my kiddo. Like
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
or
that's wonderful.
coming into one of my coworkers' office and I was like, that picture, I was like, I don't have that picture of my kid. I was like, can I have it? Like, can you send that to me? So it's great because, his enthusiasm and being able, he was so excited whenever he was around blood donors and the phlebotomists, where it's like, you can be terminally ill, but there is so much joy still to be
Mhm.
had. And I think that
Mhm.
was also what I've learned being in the world of pediatric oncology. You can have a child who feeling terrible, nauseous from medications, but they're like, let's rally. I still
Play.
want to
Mhm.
play. I want to
Mhm.
still have so much fun and
Mhm.
laughter, right? Like they may vomit and then they're like, let's go. Like versus where I
Yes.
think adults, the depression sets in, or the reality
Mhm.
where we never really experience that. And I
Mm.
even approached the memorial service for my son on how we were going to do this and how did we frame it to his brother. So the day that he passed away, we call it his angel birthday.
Yeah.
That is what we celebrate. It was also something, the discussion with my surviving son, right? I hold joy and grief in the same day. Their birthday is still their birthday. So what we do is their birthday is heavily focused on my surviving son, and Declan's Angel Day is meant for him. And that's when we celebrate the day that he passed. But even his memorial service, how do you explain to a bunch of children that was in his sphere? Like, it was his heaven party. It was a joyous event. We worked with the all the therapy animals that would come to the hospital. So we had several of them, to see my surviving son like curled up on the floor with a golden retriever during such this heavy event. But we made it so lighthearted, and it was fantastic to be able to truly celebrate my son, who he was, our family dynamic, and then being able to still be excited for the future. And I think that's, took me a while. I wouldn't say like day one, I was this joyous. This is, we're coming up on the 8th anniversary of my son's passing, but I also felt very at peace when he passed, that we accomplished everything we could. I have no regrets. I have no what ifs, right? I think a lot of people, if they lose somebody suddenly, or especially with a prolonged illness, it's like, what if we did this
Try something
experiment
new or
treatment?
something,
What if we went this route? What if maybe we shouldn't have done this? Like, I have none of those. I've never had those. I've been very at peace. My son was able to pass away at home, surrounded by his family. And just, it was so peaceful that, I was speaking to him up to like 2 hours before he passed away. And he was very like lucid, and, it's such a weird thing to talk about, but also just so common. I think a lot of people don't talk about it enough.
Right.
And now I'm in another realm of, my father is actively ill. My father doesn't have that much time left. And, he comes to me and he's just like, I'm so sorry, I'm putting you through this. I was like, you're not putting me through, he's worried about how I'm doing. And I'm like, I'm okay. Like, it's good. I was like, we need to plan, because I am a planner.
Yes. Good.
But, I was like, we're great. We are going to celebrate the time that we have together, especially because I am his only child that lives across the country. But being able to go through these repetitions. And again, I was like, Dad, this is the first time. I was like, my child did not have any assets to deal with. Right? I was like, I can go through the medical terminology and all of that, but I was like, as far as taxes, I have no idea. We're going to have to call somebody.
Yeah. I love that in a way, this is a great lesson for all of us. And another way to approach our dying, and approaching the dying with joy, and and with celebration, and with looking for those ways that we can, find the joy and the happiness, and the there really is the act of dying is so often put in this place of, oh, it's horrible, and it's going to be a
Bleakness.
horrible thing, and it's weak. Yeah, you're weak if you die, you haven't fought hard enough, whatever. And to have that, just have that sense of joy and playfulness, and reminder that, life. What did somebody talk about in one of our podcasts? Like, don't forget about the dash, like the birth date and the end date. There's that dash. That's
In
really
between, that's
important.
right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I do want to make sure our listeners know that this isn't going to be everybody's experience. This isn't the model that we, assume that people will have.
Yeah.
This is a model, and you're welcome to join in that model. And even Lauren, her grief process took a while to get started too. Like, this isn't like the next day and you're like, let's do this.
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
Right? So I really, I want to say that it's the joy that you bring is in creating the gem from this experience, creating the gift that you can give to others through blood works, through the story, through your son. Was it Adrian? Adrian, who is here, and he can also express this story down the road about what it was like to have his twin brother pass and what happened afterwards. Like, it's a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And it's all about, again, like, I have an amazing support system that has gotten me from point A to point B.
Yes.
But it's also, this is a roller coaster. I can't,
Yeah.
as joyful as I am, their birthday was a couple of weeks ago. Did I spend the
Yeah.
first 2 hours of my day watching
Yeah.
videos, sobbing in bed?
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. I have found it is better to feel that grief, feel the
Yes.
feelings, and then, go and actually wake up the birthday boy who's still, they're not awake before noon at this age. So being able to take time for myself to
Yeah.
then celebrate, I find a lot that I hold joy and grief.
Mhm.
I think if there was a long time where it was like,
Either
should I
or.
be completely devastated?
Right.
Or where are you at? Because for me, especially comparatively, I do have other friends that have lost their children, but those were all singletons. So to be able to have twins and then identical twins, because I have Declan who's frozen in time at 6 years
Mhm.
old. And
Mhm.
now I have Adrian, who is the same height as me, which is devastating as a mother in its own right,
Yes.
where it's just
Yes.
like, oh man, or thinking he's going to be getting a driver's permit soon. And I was like,
Yeah.
I remember when you were born and the thought of how am I going to afford two kids driving at the same time, right? It's a different
Yeah.
shift. And like, does that bring a touch of sadness? It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just reflect on all of the amazing memories that I have with Declan and the impact that he had and the impact that he still has
Yeah.
Mhm.
through my work with my therapy and counseling throughout all of it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Making sure that Declan had a lasting legacy is really important to me. And
Mm.
the opportunity to be employed with Bloodworks as a
Yeah.
thank you to Bloodworks, who
Mhm.
provided me that 5 extra months in the Bloodworks
Mhm.
donors, is to
Mhm.
continue his legacy and to be able to
Mm.
continue to speak about him and share his
Mm.
Mhm.
story. Because a lot of people hear there's an urgent need for blood, they immediately go a car accident, a gunshot victim, a
Right.
stabbing. It's
Right.
not, a third of the blood supply is going to chemotherapy patients and
Wow.
patients like my son. So making sure
Mhm.
that there's a reliable supply for those that are, in treatment is,
Mhm.
my passion. But being able
Mhm.
to continue my son's legacy is the most amazing portion of my
Mm.
my job.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I am a
beautiful.
mission hire. I don't know if Bloodworks is how I will ever walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
my
great.
Because
gosh.
Yeah.
I'm in
I love
it.
it.
Yeah. And
That's
someday
so
you
good.
might not be, but for the
Yeah.
minute you're full on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Full on
Full on.
doing it well,
Yeah.
making it so important and so much for us to all be aware of and hold. So thank you for that a lot. Yeah. Where are we? This has been great. This has been nice just to talk, and so we also keep our little list here for when we need them. Um,
And we could change it up, Wakil, too,
yeah,
because I think
absolutely.
we've been. This is a really. I think that the big pieces is blood donation is imperative.
Yeah.
It's I have to say I haven't donated blood in like 20 years just because it's out of my purview, right? Like it's where am I?
Right?
So I'm like, oh wait, this is my PSA. I'm gonna have to go give blood now. And the other piece is the loss of a child brings you live in paradox. It's both grief
Yeah.
riddled and joyous to have had that really precious and sweet time with your baby. And I think that people need to hear that. It is not easy and you'll get through it and you can be both deeply upset and also sweetly delighted in continuing to be here.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a cycle that comes and goes. Yeah, your roller coaster, like you said, is a very well put, and that's true in many cases. I'm
Mhm.
living with a spouse who has a terminal disease right now, and it's a roller coaster. Part of the time I mean, we live every day to the fullest that we can,
Yeah.
and she's doing really well right now, so we're enjoying every minute. But
Mhm.
there's that roller coaster ride, even if it's not specifically, in the grief or in the anticipatory grief, it's just that sense, that I don't know where I am. I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow. That also kind of contributes to that roller coaster that you were talking about earlier. So I
Mhm.
appreciate that reminder. Um, do you find that people do you find any resistance to like challenges to your mission? Do people resist that, the sense that, I should be giving blood, or that this matters, or do you find that it's pretty much people are hearing it? Are people hearing it well enough, you think, or is there more we could do? And put it that way.
I think there's always more that we can do. There is still a lot of myths about blood donations that stem from th- the 80s plus,
The
where the
AIDS.
FDA, yep,
Mhm.
with the AIDS,
Mhm.
and also with mad cow from the 90s. A
Mm,
Oh,
lot of the
yeah.
FDA has made so many rollbacks, right? Science has
Mhm.
proven that XYZ does not mean that you are ineligible for donating blood. So being able to educate the public as quickly as the FDA was announcing those, I
mm,
came on to Bloodworks in 2020. So since then,
mm,
there's been 5 major updates to the
mhm,
Mhm.
FDA's. A lot of people just, even simple things like being diabetic,
mhm.
um, that does not disqualify you from donating blood. And a lot of
Hmm.
people have never been asked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And in the world that we are all so busy, like,
Mhm.
it's something that just falls out of routine.
Yeah.
And when you get the max that you can donate blood in 1 year is 6 times. Most
Mhm.
people average. But as of right now, we always say, like, blood works. If every single one of our donors donated just one more time a year, we would never have to talk about the blood supply. Everything is
Mm.
perfect.
Mhm.
We have amazing levels. So being able to just bring on, not only just to
Mhm.
make a one-time donation, like, try gold, try to do 2 or 3 times in a year. It
Mhm.
would just make such a substantial support to be able to help. And there's coming out of, like, our younger donors, like I mentioned before, is a passion for mine. They're the kids that were fifth graders, right? If
Mhm.
you need to be 16 to be able to donate, Washington State, you need a parent permission form. Um, they were fifth graders, fourth graders during
Mhm.
Yeah.
the pandemic. They
Oh, yeah.
lost those years, and anxiety is so high within those age
Mhm.
groups now that the thought of donating blood is just petrifying to them. So it's been
Mhm.
amazing to watch students come out of their shell, try it, having great experiences, and being able to come back and be repeat donors.
Oh, good.
Nothing beats it when it's Christmas break and I'm at the Vancouver Donor Center and we have high school students showing up,
Mhm.
that they're making this a priority for them,
Mhm. Mhm.
to be able to continue donations. And now yeah, I've been in this job long enough that actually my first high school coordinator is now an employee with Bloodworks.
Nice.
And she is now
Oh,
my coworker, which is amazing to
yeah.
just see that my story, the impact, the work, the
Mhm.
mission, that it's,
Mhm.
forming this next generation. I'm so excited to see it grow. We would absolutely love to see it grow faster than
Yeah,
Mhm.
the
yeah.
current pace. But it's making time. And it's really interesting when we have our large mobile units out that are 40-foot buses, and
Mhm.
somebody will drive by and they're like, I needed
I
to
gotta do
donate.
that.
Let me
Yep.
see.
Yeah.
I've got an hour real quick. Let me jump on the bus and do it. So
Yeah.
whether it's part of your routine or you impulsively see one of our mobile units, like, please walk up, come in.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
doors are always open to have donors come in because the need is so great.
So great.
Oh, I appreciate
Well,
that.
I'm gonna stop you there because, as you were talking, I was like, I'm gonna donate blood. You've got, I'm there. But I looked and there's a lot of different places to donate blood. And so I think that if you weren't here with me, I'd be like, oh, like, where do you go? Because I just saw I would go to American Red Cross because I see that name and I recognize it as something safe for me. But there's just like Grifols Biomat, PSL Blood, Vitalent blood donation. Like, how does one pick a place? And does all blood go where?
Yeah.
That's a great question. So Bloodworks Northwest, we are based in Seattle, Washington. We are the provider for 95% of all the Pacific Northwest hospitals. So think
Okay.
everything in the state of Washington and Oregon. So we are your community local nonprofit blood bank. American Red Cross is an amazing organization that is nationwide.
Right.
They have been around since the 1800s. They've got,
Mhm.
uh, the way American Red Cross, right, their blood or their collections throughout the country goes throughout the country. Blood Works Northwest is very local
Stays
to the
local.
Pacific Northwest, where you've got different blood banks like Southern Texas. And there's a couple of different regional ones. So you can do the research to find out like a local regional one. For us, like we
Okay.
always say, like donate blood and donate locally, because that's less
Okay.
transportation costs. We
Yeah.
have, if blood's not having to be shipped across the country,
Mhm.
medical care costs is significantly
Yeah.
reduced.
Sure.
So being
Yeah, that
able
makes
to find
sense.
your local blood bank, there's even like
Interesting.
a cohort of us. If you want to research the Blood Emergency Readiness Coalition, BloodWorks is part of that. And those are all the regional, smaller community blood banks. We actually go on call because nationwide disasters are happening
Mhm.
much more
Mhm.
frequently. Where
Yeah.
Mhm.
before, say, there was a massive transfusion event that was happening as like a mass shooting, the local blood bank is drained. They will call out across the country, be like, "Does anybody have extra units?"
Mhm.
And it was a gamble on who had some ready to go. So now we call it BERC, the Blood Emergency Readiness Coalition. We all go on call for 2 weeks at a time. So if there is a natural disaster, South Florida during a hurricane, they were shut down for 3 days
Mhm.
and not being able to get, but the hospitals still have patients and they still need the blood.
Mhm.
So we were able
Mhm.
to, thankfully, BloodWorks had an extra 150 units of blood. We were able
They
to put it on a
shipped.
plane and help
Mhm.
Florida out during
Mhm.
their time of need. And that has happened here. The Pacific Northwest, we get those horrible ice storms sometimes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And in order to keep just the Pacific Northwest, BloodWorks needs 1,000 people a day to show up and donate blood. So for
Wow.
us to not be operational for 24 to 72 hours would be devastating to the region's blood
Right.
supply.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
great.
I
That's
yeah, I'm learning so much. Like
yeah.
I'm literally looking around like local blood donor space.
Mhm.
Who keeps blood here? It's like,
Yeah. Well, and I love that. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me this time was uh, just do it again. If you've done it,
yeah.
it's been a while, go back, do it again. I mean, I
Mhm.
used to be doing it on a regular, every other month basis, and I forget something came up that I think I was sick the last time, and I thought, or one time I went down, I had my blood pressure was too high because I ran down there because I was late. Um, but so anyway, it just it sort of fell off the radar, and now I'm thinking, oh yeah, I can go back and do that again, and I love that. That's a really good just kind of reminder to all of us that even just showing up one more time is going to help. It's
Mhm.
going to be make a difference, and if we all could show up one more
Yeah.
time, there wouldn't be a problem. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. So this is definitely a good public service announcement time for this one. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, this has been really awesome. Really appreciate your story. Is there anything you wish we'd have asked that we didn't get to, or that you'd like to share?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think we covered everything. I think one of your questions was that was like a pre one that you normally do is like if you fear passing.
Yeah,
Is that,
yeah.
yeah. And
Death,
I was
yeah, it's
actually,
like
yeah, I was thinking about this over the weekend, and it's fascinating in the position that I'm in, where I'm so happy for every day that I'm here. But
Yeah.
I also don't fear passing
Mhm.
myself because
Mhm.
I know I get to be reunited with my son that I lost time with. So
Mhm,
Mhm.
again,
mhm.
holding that joy and happiness where I'm spending all of this quality time with Adrian and hopefully future children, for myself, that I also will look forward to the day that I'm reunited with my son, that
Mhm.
time was cut short,
Yeah,
but
Mhm.
very sweet.
still
Thank you.
profoundly impactful. The quote that I sent you is
Yeah.
one that we used for that was actually like in his death announcement when we
Mm,
publicly let everyone know that he had passed. Was, in those short few years, man, did those years count.
yeah,
And
Yes.
just as a
yeah,
reminder that, every day is a blessing, every year is a blessing, even with the turmoils of the ups and downs and the uncertainty, right? Life is messy, but
yeah.
there's also joy in that mess. And
Mhm.
all I can think about is like, stomping in puddles and getting
Right.
muddy.
Yeah.
It's just like, yes, it is messy, and that warm shower afterwards feels fantastic, but the joy of playing in the mud and like stomping in those puddles, uh like just love life and
Yeah,
Yeah.
loving
yeah,
every second of it. And when it comes to an end, it doesn't necessarily mean, however your religious affiliations are. For me, I know that my son is out and about. Even Adrian described for the longest time, he's like, Declan's not haunting us, because somebody asked him if they're like, oh, does he live in your house? Is like that. So, and he's like, he's an angel. He's busy helping other people. He doesn't have time to mess with me.
Yes.
I love
He's
that.
out continuing to do the great work. He's the guardian angel to, whether it's his father, who's a police officer, or his brother, especially once his brother goes out driving and being part of that world. But he's busy being an angel. He doesn't have time to haunt us here at our home.
That's
Which
great.
I love it. It's Adrian makes such a fun quibs about it.
Yeah, and honestly, your son sounds like he was heard till the very end, and I feel like, ghosties are trying to still say something that was left unsaid. He's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
he's
right.
fine. He's at peace just as much as I'm at peace
Yeah,
with
yeah.
like how it goes. But yes, it was it's been a fun adventure, and it's still ongoing. So we shall see
Yeah.
what the future holds, and we'll continue to share his story and
Beautiful.
let his legacy grow.
That's so good, so beautiful. We're so honored to have had you
Yes.
join us today. So thank you so much. I want to
Oh,
read that
yeah, it
quote.
was good. Your quote.
Yeah, it's from Abraham Lincoln, and we can read it twice, I think. So it says, "And in the end, it's not the years in a life; it's the life in the years." Just what you were talking about.
That's right. And in the end, it's not the years in a life, it's the life in the years. Honestly, it's the life in the moments.
Yeah.
In every single moment that we get to breathe in, breathe out. It's the life in
That's
there.
right. Yeah.
Grief and loss, conversations about the end of life.
Thank you for joining us today. Thank you to Charles Heaston, the composer of the original music you are listening to now.
And of course, thanks to you, our audience, and all of our amazing guests. Please come back next week for another great episode. Share this with your friends, family, and community. We hope you will subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Substack. Each guest's additional information will be found in the podcast notes. And of course, if you have a good end-of-life story to share, please reach out. We are always eager to hear from you.